Okay, so I want to take a look at SuperMicro's stock. They are reporting their quarterly earnings after the close tonight. Now, bear in mind, that's a bit unfortunate for them in that we're expecting all sorts of volatility anyway this evening. But this stock has had one of those parabolic rises. This is a monthly chart, and then it's starting to sell off quite dramatically. There's a backstory to this in that they have been accused of accounting malpractice, and they have been given, I think they've got about another 2 weeks to produce their verified accounting and reporting that has not been filed with the appropriate authorities in the US. Failure to do so means they're going to be delisted from the NASDAQ. They are one of the top 10 NVIDIA customers, resellers, if you will, in the world. And we also therefore have to consider NVIDIA. There are a lot of analysis available. If you go and just search on X for it, you can look at the backstory on NVIDIA that stand accused of what's known as channel stuffing. That's where all manufacturers in the technology sector work through channels to market. So they typically don't sell their products directly to the end user customers. What they do is they sell them to third-party systems integration companies and the like, or distributors in various parts of the world, who then hold stock and rotate that stock by agreement, and then provide that as part of larger solutions into end user environments, typically in the case of these two data centers. And a close scrutiny of NVIDIA's balance sheet shows that they've been invoicing at a level, but their stock inventory is not being shipped, and their collectibles in terms of the amount of money that they've not yet received but that is owed them doesn't look quite as people think it should look. So the theory being, if you will, that they are falsifying those sales figures by persuading people in that channel to issue paper orders, but doing deals with them whereby they don't have to pay / take delivery for extended periods of time, and so on and so forth. They've also got a massive customer NVIDIA have called CoreWeave that came out of nowhere. It's been invested in by NVIDIA's major investors themselves. It doesn't bear scrutiny to the normal criteria one would expect. But without getting into all of that and the various conspiracies around it, I would say two things. Firstly, when we have major market tops and then corrections, typically all sorts of foul play comes out of the woodwork. If you go back to the bursting of the dot-com bubble, and you had then Enron and MCI WorldCom amongst others that all went bankrupt in short order and were later found to have been guilty of all sorts of misconduct. If you look at the financial crisis, as it's known, the crash of 2008/9, it was the banks that had similarly been doing things in the bond market that they should not have been doing in the subprime mortgage lending business. And we will see, no doubt, the same again as we get into a larger degree correction, which I think is not that far away in US markets. And we may find that NVIDIA is one of them, and we may already be seeing that with MCI WorldCom. So all of that, with SuperMicro. So all that to say, these are stocks that, if you've made good money out of them on the way up, now's the time to move on and look for other opportunities. On just a basic basis, we can count 1, 2, 3, wave 3 hitting a 1764 fib, 4 back, 5 up to just shy of a 238.2 fib here in SuperMicro. And therefore, one would expect a correction against the entire rise off the all-time low back in 2000. And that would take us typically down to a minimum of $7.50 and quite possibly lower. You can see the momentum, you can see the, Mansfield, and you can see the trend indicator with the divergence at the top. This is a monthly chart. If I bring it down to a weekly chart, then add the cycles in, you can see the cycle peak This is expected to come a little lower here into early next year, then a small bounce, and then continue on its way down, indicating this stock's done. So therefore, I would expect to see on earnings this drop a bit further, then potentially bounce before another major move down. So in terms of investment, owning this stock or what have you, now is in my view not the time to be looking at it. Just flipping to a daily chart, you can see we're at a 1.0 extension here based on an ABC1 to ABC3. The levels to watch in the SuperMicro tonight, 24.67. If we break there, we go down below $20 to 19.70 area, after which I would expect a bounce, and you can see the cycles in the short term are expecting that before another deep move to the downside into next year. And I think all of that will be simply an A wave down of a much, much larger correction. In terms of NVIDIA itself, so if we come over and look at the stock chart for NVIDIA, here we go. And I'm just going to take it out to a weekly time frame. You can see it's expected to pull back a little bit into the back end of this year, and it may well have another run up in NVIDIA. But I'd be surprised to see this stock north of around 237, and then we should be looking at a much, much larger degree wave 4 back that can, if it takes us down to the 138.2 bottom up fib and the 4 of 1 lesser degree, takes this stock all the way back to $14. The upper end of the range would be around $31 in NVIDIA. So again, you can see CRSI is already on a sell on the weekly basis. Momentum's come out of it. The Mansfield's about to sell, and cycles are topping. So NVIDIA itself, I think, possibly another high, but generally speaking, I think the best of this is done. And for quite some time, if that's a 4 at cycle degree, then it's going to be quite a lengthy move back down before this stock is of any interest again. So that's what we've got going into SuperMicro's earnings tonight. Let's see what we get, and we'll have a quick look at it again tomorrow to see how it's performed. Potentially a little drop down to around the $19 area, then a bounce. But after that, I think we continue lower in SuperMicro.